Hello, I'm Ed. Welcome back to the studio. Thanks for joining me again. Today I'm going to be looking at Polaroid photography, and I have dug out my ancient Polaroid 600 camera and purchased a packet of black and white Polaroid 600 film, and I will be loading that and going out and shooting it very shortly. However, before I do that, I said in my last video that I would quickly wrap up my thoughts on medium format film before I started on the next project. So very briefly, really enjoyed shooting the medium format. There were some technical problems, particularly in scanning it. I didn't have a proper way of scanning it, and so the results were not what I was hoping for. I couldn't get the whole frame in, and the colours were a bit weird, and because it had been scanned using an iPhone, I think the computational photography aspect of it meant that it was sort of thinking what was there and changing it ever so slightly to accentuate bits that maybe didn't want to be accentuated, and the colours were a bit off. So it wasn't quite what I was hoping for, but I did enjoy doing it. I will do it again, and I'll try and do it properly next time. And thanks to the people who commented about things that I could do, for instance using 35mm film to get panoramics. Really interesting. I would like to try that at some point, but it's going to have to wait because of costs and various other things. So, moving on. Polaroid. I've had this camera since at least 1999, and I know that because I shot Millennium Eve on it. I went out with my friends to a bar, and it was with me so that I could take some snaps and give them to my friends as mementos. And I was a very popular guy there because all the people who turned up who didn't have a Polaroid camera with them were thinking, oh wow, please take a picture of me and my mate so we can take it home and I will buy you a drink. And it was, yeah, nowadays everybody's got a smartphone on, they can snap away. But here you had 10 shots, nowadays only 8 shots. Apparently the film now is a bit thicker, so you can't fit 10 into a cartridge, so you only get 8. And it's £2 per snap pretty much. So it's not something where you're going to be machine gunning, taking lots of photos. It's a special thing, and it's tangible, and there's that lovely thing of it developing as well. I remember back in 99, 2000, when I was shooting the original Polaroid film, it would almost instantly appear. Nowadays it takes about 10-15 minutes, and I think that's because the chemistry is different. You can read up about this, but basically Polaroid kind of stopped producing film. Eventually a company called Impossible took over, and they started producing the film again, but the chemistry was different, and they were learning because I think the labs where it was made had all been shut down, so it wasn't possible to just start producing it again exactly as it was before. And certainly I got some of the earlier Impossible films, and it seemed to me that the colours were not quite as vibrant, and it wasn't as good. And it's getting better and better. I've actually got black and white film, but I've been shooting some colour as well. I tend to treat myself for like a Christmas. So when I go for a family Christmas, I take the Polaroid camera and take snaps with that, and then I hang the pictures up on little clothes pegs in the lounge with little captions as to who it is and when it was, and it makes a nice little kind of pin board, and it's just for me because there's no copies of it, which is nice. It's kind of like having a little illustration or a little sketch that somebody's done, and that is one of the nice things about Polaroids. It's a one-off. Obviously you can take a scan of it, you can take a photo of it, but it's not like having a negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this camera and load it with this film, and then over the next few days I'm going to go out, shoot it, and then the next video will be having a look at what I've shot and how I shot it and how it went. So let's crack on. Let's open the packet. I don't know if they still do it, but one of the things I liked about when these came back is they had little inspirational quotes on the box. I wonder if there'll be one. So yes, in its protective little silver foil. Ah yes, The Hunt for Bigfoot. No idea why that's saying that, but there we go. There's a little tab to pull off here. And then we open the camera up. There's a little slider there. It clicks open. And then we need to make sure we put this the right way around. Insert the film this side up, do not remove this dark slide. That's the dark slide that's protecting the first frame. So in it goes. And I think when I close this, it should spit the first frame out. And it does. There we go. We are ready to go. So there are 8 shots, and I need to remember 8 because there's nothing showing in the viewfinder to tell me how many I've actually got. In the old days you'd get 10, but now you get 8. One of the good things is that although this camera is really beaten up, you can see that the strap that was supposed to help me hold it has just perished and fallen off. But because the battery pack is in the film, it's not like I've got to try and find batteries and everything's dead or whatever. So if we open it up and just see inside, there's a built-in flash, and I think that just fires every time. There's no way you can stop it firing, so it's not like you could surreptitiously take a picture with it. It has 2 focusing settings, close-up and far away. The close-up one, that lens is not exactly the highest quality, I would say, so I think probably going to get better results with the far away one. It seems to be sticking a bit as well, but there we go. There's a little dial here, which I think is the exposure, more or less, but I'm not going to mess with that because it's in the middle. Maybe I will mess with it later. We'll see what happens if I do, but I'm not going to do it straight away because that would be a bit of a disaster. But yeah, it looks like darker, lighter, if that's anything to go by. And yeah, so close it up there. That's the shutter release button there. So you hold it to your eye like that and push it towards you, and it will take the picture, spit the film out, and about 15 minutes later you'll have a finished result. Now, one of the weird things about this is, I think certainly in the past it said don't shake it to develop it, which is kind of weird because there's that shake it like a Polaroid picture. You always shook it to develop it, but I guess with the new chemistry that doesn't work anymore, or at least it didn't last time I got a packet and it told me not to do that. So we won't do that, and we'll see how it works. But we will use the 8 shots for hopefully the kind of purpose that you would use Polaroid for, which is like candid snaps. Why did people shoot Polaroids before digital cameras? I guess if they need an instant result, if it's to give to somebody. I used to work in media, and if you were doing like a screen test, you had a candidate, you'd take a photo and attach it to their CV, so you had a instant, oh yes, that's them kind of thing, which you wouldn't be able to do any other way really. Nowadays I guess you take a digital picture and attach it to a digital CV and whatever. Other reasons, yeah, if you were at a party and you wanted to hand out pictures to people there, that would be a good reason to have it. Again, I think people use them for intimate pictures with their significant others, things that they would be embarrassed to take to a photo lab. Not something I actually used it for, but again, that is I guess a common use of Polaroid cameras, which again nowadays I would imagine digital is the way people would do that. It is, I guess, a USP of Polaroid film that it is in that box and it doesn't go anywhere, and nobody else sees it except the person who shot it. Other reasons for shooting Polaroids, it's a unique item, so it has value. It's kind of a one of a kind. You can produce many copies of a negative, but there's only one Polaroid original, so sign it and it's worth $1 million. Sadly, I don't think any of mine are. But having said that, there are famous Polaroids, and I've actually got a book here, which I think this was published in 2005. It's called the Polaroid book. And the Polaroid book, it's by Taschen, and it contains examples of Polaroids from many different photographic artists in different genres, and there are some lovely pictures in there. There are some that I'm not keen on as well, but that's personal taste, isn't it? But it's really worth a look if it's still available. Yeah, Polaroid book, 287 photographs from 224 artists from the Polaroid collections of photography. And yeah, it's nice. It's got the Polaroid branding there. So I'll leave it there, and I'll go out and shoot some Polaroids, and hopefully in a week's time I'll be back showing you what I've shot. So thanks again for joining me for this. Remember that I do have an Instagram as well. It's Studio Swindon as well, and every day I try and put a photo from either that day or from my archive up for people to look at. So it'd be really nice if you're enjoying this, go and have a look at the Instagram. Thanks again, and see you soon. Have a great week.